In PES 2008, it's essential to use the pressing and double pressing techniques. You need to master them quickly and perfect the art of disrupting attacking moves. They can be used to win possession, block an opponent's route forward, slow down his progress, or force him to pass backwards. Here's an example how to use a cursor change to select the best player to mark an opponent. The opponent here is out of reach of your highlighted player. By pressing the change cursor button and the directional pad, you can switch the player you are controlling. Select the team member in the best position to block your opponent. In some situations, you'll need the assistance of a teammate. By pressing the shoot button, you can send an AI-controlled teammate to close down the man in possession of the ball. You'll still have manual control of your selected player, move him to block your opponent or to cut out likely passes. If you fail to win possession, you can repeat the same procedure, change your controlled player and send an AI-controlled teammate to harass the ball carrier. The sliding tackle is one of the more efficient ways to regain possession of the ball, but only if you can master the delicate timing. As in real-life football, poorly judged or overly aggressive sliding challenges will lead to fouls and often bookings or even red cards in severe situations. Use the long pass button to perform a sliding tackle. Don't forget that the element of surprise is important. If you slide over a long distance, your opponent will have time to dodge. It's better to avoid making contact with the player, as referees may still call a foul if you win the ball but also take out the man. Try to angle your approach to minimize the chance of this happening. You can also use a well-timed sliding tackle from the side to hook the ball from your opponent's feet, which can give you immediate control of the ball. Be careful not to be shoulder to shoulder. Maintain a little distance. The best time to strike is when your opponent touches the ball. Win the ball perfectly and your player can climb to his feet and move straight away. Use sliding tackles from behind only when you are absolutely confident of success or when there is no other alternative. This is a very dangerous move. Your timing and angle of approach are once again extremely important, and in one-on-one situations the stakes are high. This one was perfect. If you're willing to hone this ability through patient practice, you can use last-ditch sliding tackles to deny an opposing striker a shot on goal under seemingly impossible situations. Sliding tackles can be employed to block a shot, pass or cross. Anticipation and positioning are the key to success. The ability to read the game is the hallmark of all great defenders. When your opponent is poised to shoot, use the long pass button to block the shot. Don't be too far from him as you'll reduce your chances of intercepting the goal attempt, but don't be too close either. Make contact and you could concede a foul. You can create counter-attacking opportunities by successfully sliding to intercept passes, especially in your opponent's half. Here, the player has read the intentions of his opponent. You'll find that you have more opportunities to make interceptions if you play an aggressive pressing game. A little guile goes a long way, though don't go to ground too readily. When you regain possession in your own half, especially in your penalty area, stay calm and use any time at your disposal to distribute the ball to a teammate in a safe position. If you rush to make a clearance by any means necessary, you will usually hand the ball straight back to your opponent. When time is of the essence, use the shoot button to clear the ball immediately. The best clearances of this type occur when your player is facing his opponent's goal. If he is looking at a touchline or your goal line, he is more likely to put the ball out for a throw-in or corner. When the ball is crossed from either touchline, you will seldom have enough time to control and clear it, so just press the shoot button to head it away. If your player is facing his own goal, he may head it out for a corner kick or throw-in. Be wary of potential own goals. You can also perform first-time volleyed clearances. If you have the time, you can try to make more constructive clearances. Try using the change player button and through ball button to play a lofted pass to a player in space to initiate a counter-attack. Hold the buttons down for longer to target a more distant teammate. More risky, but offering greater precision, use the manual pass button and change player button to perform a high manual pass. Use this technique wisely, as it can take a moment for a player to kick the ball, which provides your opponent with the time to close him down and block it. Your defensive style should vary in accordance with your position on the pitch, with different techniques and strategies more appropriate in some areas than others. Essentially, the ground can be divided into 5 areas, where there are 5 corresponding defensive styles. These are your opponent's half, the centre of your half, the wings, the touchline area on either side of your penalty area, and the penalty area itself. Let's examine each one in turn. In your opponent's half, use light pressure. You can sometimes make your forwards press harder to unsettle defenders, but don't waste their energy on impossible attempts to win possession. However, winning the ball in this area might lead to a shooting opportunity. On the wings, try to mark opposing players to block their way forward. You can also call nearby players over to provide assistance. As the ball is near the touchline, knocking it out of play can provide your team with time to regain its shape. As well as a standard challenge, you can achieve this by running shoulder to shoulder with an opponent, with shirt pulling, or by making a well-timed sliding tackle. In the centre of your half, close the gaps and call your attacking players back to help. Your main priority is to slow down your opponent and force him back. Try to outnumber your opponent, using pressing and double pressing to disrupt the flow of play and encourage mistakes. Be careful not to pull your centre backs out of position though. On the touchlines deep inside your half, use jockeying to prevent crosses and passes into the box. Maintain a small distance, a technique known as standing off, to enable your player to intercept or block passes and crosses. Call midfielders or wingers back to apply additional pressure. If you track his movements doggedly with a pair of players, a winger will find it extremely difficult to make the space required to perform an accurate cross or pass. In your penalty area, use careful pressing to disrupt attacks and force opponents wide or back into midfield. With good positioning and by taking care to close any gaps, you can block their route to goal. Use close pressing with caution and be very careful in your timing of attempted tackles. You can instruct your goalkeeper to rush from his goal to intercept an on-rushing opponent, which is sometimes the only way to avoid conceding a goal. Let's consider what happens when you leave a goalkeeper on his line in these situations. As you can see, it's extremely easy for the opponent to place the ball either side of the goalkeeper. To prevent this, you need to narrow the angle. If an opponent has broken clear of your back line, you rush the goalkeeper to intercept him at the right time. Hold the through ball button and he will run automatically. Outside their penalty areas, goalkeepers are very poor defenders. If you run him out too soon, it will be easier for the attacker to dribble past him or score with a lobbed shot. You need to wait for the right moment, concentrating on your opponent's run. If he's sprinting quickly, there's a good chance that he'll be knocking the ball ahead with each touch. When he draws near to the penalty area, wait for him to push the ball ahead. Then press the through ball button to dash forward and intercept it. You should try to have a defender running back at the same time to make a clearance if necessary. The standard goal kick from hands is effective, but you could instead drop the ball before passing it upfield in a specific direction. Ensure that there are no nearby opponents before you perform this move. Press the sprint button to drop the ball, then kick it with the shoot or long pass button. You can use this move to initiate quick counter-attacks. If you use this technique when there are opponents near your goal, it can lead to disaster. Sometimes, it seems that everyone on the pitch bar the goalkeeper knows where a striker will shoot. In PES 2008, you can take direct control of your goalkeeper and move him manually to anticipate the movement of the attacker and intercept shots. Press and hold the through ball button and press the change player button. You can now control the basic movement of your goalkeeper. This could be used to disturb your opponent by closing him down, narrowing the angle, or by running close to automatically dive at his feet. Let's go back to the initial situation where you had to guess the trajectory of the shot without being able to stop it. Let's use the manual keeper control function to anticipate the shot's direction. With practice, it can be an inspired move, or your interference can lead to easy goals for a sniggering opponent. This is definitely a professional grade technique. The ability to use different first touch tricks and ball control techniques at the right moment will enable you to hold possession for longer and create chances in your opponent's half. The kill ball movement and turn move is useful in many situations. Use it to turn your player's body in the required direction when you receive a low pass. Press and hold the special controls button and directional pad to turn as your player takes the ball, using his body to protect it. You can use this to get into the shield ball move. To gain speed as you control the ball and pass a marker, use the sprint button as the ball reaches your player. With the right timing and direction, this can take defenders completely by surprise. Don't use this technique too often though, as it will be easy for experienced defenders to predict your first touch and intercept the ball. Now let's see a trick that experienced players will use to get through defenses. When you receive a pass, you can allow the ball to pass through your player's legs without touching it. Press the sprint button and the directional pad in the ball's direction of movement as it approaches your player. Be careful that there isn't a defender stood behind him. There is also a special way to control high passes. The airborne ball control move can enable you to set up spectacular bicycle kicks or powerful volleys. The player will usually control the ball with his chest, but may instead use his feet or even his head. When you receive a high pass, press the sprint button and the direction you would like to move in. You can use this to set up some incredible shots. Learn to control the ball with your players back to goal, and you'll be much less predictable than if you constantly use standard trapping and turning moves. Here's an example of what you shouldn't do. Beginners tend to receive the ball with the sprint button and a direction held down. This benefits nearby defenders. Controlling and pushing the ball in a direction is an important skill, but an experienced defender will know to wait, or even anticipate the movement in advance. Stopping to enable your player to shield the ball can help you to get past tough centre-backs. Before the defender can use his strength to gain access to the ball, turn quickly and go around him. The kill ball movement trapping technique is used to take control of the ball and turn simultaneously. Press the special controls button and the D-pad in the required direction. This can also set up opportunities to use a variety of tricks and feints. Here are just a few examples. Use your imagination to create some spectacular combinations. Mastering the use of different movement speeds is an essential part of playing PES 2008. If you can't vary the pace of your play, you'll find it very hard to build attacking moves against experienced opponents. Let's look at the different movement speeds in action. The screen is divided into 3 sections with the same player moving from the top of the screen down, at the slow dribble speed, normal movement speed, and finally sprinting. As you can see, there is a noticeable difference between the 3 basic movement speeds. One of the most common mistakes made by first-time PES players is to hold down the sprint button too often. It leads to an extremely predictable style of play and makes it easy for an opponent to steal the ball. Overuse of the sprint button also tires your players. If you use the directional pad alone to dribble the ball, you'll enjoy a much better degree of control, which makes it harder for opponents to successfully perform tackles. Your players will also pass the ball with greater accuracy. Use the directional pad and press and hold the sprint button to make your player sprint. Used wisely, you can employ the pace of your player to get past opponents, but he will be less maneuverable at this speed. In PES 2008, the slow dribble has been redesigned. Use the special control buttons and the directional pad to move your player at this reduced pace, which provides improved close control. Your player becomes more difficult to tackle as you can maneuver easily and use his body to shield the ball. The best PES players will take time to study their squads and have a keen appreciation of their strengths and weaknesses. For example, a PES veteran will know not to use a slow player with poor dribbling skills in an attempt to sprint along the touchline. To illustrate this point, let's examine the difference between a slow player, a player with average pace, and a very fast player. To get the most out of your teams, you really need to get to know them well. Using the different movement speeds, you can add great variety to your playing style. While dribbling, slowing a player down before accelerating at the right moment can leave a defender trailing in his wake. You can also dictate the pace of the game, slowing things down as you wait for an opening, then suddenly raise the tempo when an opportunity arises. By holding possession carefully, you can see that the team has found an opening. In PES 2008, the body orientation and passing abilities of players determine the pace and precision of the passes. You'll need to be patient and think ahead to build fluid passing moves. Whenever possible, take the necessary time to control the ball before passing. If your player is facing in the direction that the ball will be played in, the pass will always be fast and precise. Passes made to the side are a little slower, but still very accurate. Try to use your player's strong foot if you can, or the passes will be less effective. Passes made at oblique angles behind the man under your control are less likely to succeed if the player lacks passing ability, which is why you should always take his body orientation into account. This pass could have been intercepted. Players with low technique ratings are less capable of playing first-time passes. If you are targeting a player directly behind the man under your control, tap the directional pad in the direction of your player's back, just before you press the pass button to perform a backheel. Long passes are ideal for reaching distant players or for moving play into space on the far touchline with a cross-field ball. Switching the play is a technique that is often overlooked by PES players, but it's a great way to dominate possession. Be aware that long passes are slightly more difficult to perform in PES 2008 and take more time to perform than short passes. The length of the long pass button press determines the power of the kick. The ability to judge the relationship between the power-up time and the flight of the ball takes time and practice to perfect. From a position on either touchline, press the long pass button, fill the power bar completely, and you will be able to play a cross-field ball to the other side of the pitch. Fill up the power bar to 50% to make medium-high passes. The trajectory is ideal for diagonal balls. Most players won't expect these. Fill up the power bar to 20% to make a short lofted pass. As you can see, this is used to lob a player closing down the man in possession. You can also play first-time long passes, but note that their accuracy is lower. Through balls are a vital part of your attacking arsenal and can be used to create many shooting opportunities. Watch for gaps in your opponent's defense and use them to supply wingers and strikers with passes to run onto. When you see an opening appear, through balls can be used to provide players with a clear run on goal. On the touchlines, a high through ball can be a more efficient way to provide passes into space for fast wingers to chase, particularly when they are closely marked. Hold the change player button and press the through ball button to make this type of pass. The 1-2 is a great way to get past opponents and send players on forward runs into your opponent's half. You can perform low or high return passes. This situation is ideal for a 1-2 pass with both players in close proximity. Press and hold the change player button and then press the pass button. Your player will run towards the goal. Make the return pass by pressing the through ball button. This technique is more useful in the center of the pitch as it can lead to immediate scoring opportunities. You can also perform 1-2 passes with a lofted return ball. Hold the change player button, press the pass button and play the return ball by pressing the long pass button. This technique can be extremely effective on the wings. The 1-2 is a great way to encourage your players to make forward runs. There's no obligation to make the return pass immediately, so you can continue your attacking move and then supply the runner with a pass at a later point. Experienced players will make regular use of this technique. Perform a 1-2 pass and the player will begin his forward run. Don't return the ball, pass to another player. As you can see, the initial player is still sprinting forward. Finally, after drawing attention elsewhere by passing to other players, return the ball to the man making the forward run. Experienced PES professionals use manual passing to add a cutting edge to their game. This style of pass is perfect for playing pinpoint balls to players in space. Note that manual passes tend to be struck with more precision than the automatic variety, even if you play them at awkward angles. They add a whole new dimension to your attacking play. They're useful all over the pitch. In this situation, playing a standard pass could be very easy for the opposing team to intercept. By using a precise manual pass though, you can play an accurate pass to an unmarked teammate. Correctly judging the power of these kicks is important and takes a lot of practice. In attack, use manual passes to play the ball into space. To perform a high manual pass, hold the change player button and then press the manual pass button and required direction on the stick. Once again, you'll need to practice these to learn how much power is required in different situations. Manual passes can also be used to score goals when you don't have the time to reposition your player, or when he can't use his favoured foot. Just fill the power bar to the required level and angle the stick accordingly. This goal couldn't have been scored with a standard shot type. You can also use the lofted manual pass function to lob the keeper from long range, which is an immensely satisfying way to score if he is off his line. There's more to performing crosses than simply pressing a button. You also need to pick the right moment, use the player's stronger foot, pick the most appropriate cross type, and ideally pick out a player in space. The three basic types of automatic cross, high, medium, and low, are performed by pressing the long pass button once, twice, and 3 times respectively. When you draw level with the penalty area, use the long pass button to perform an automatic cross. Use the D-pad to direct the ball towards players. Here, there are 3 groups of players in the penalty area. To target players at the top, you would press directional pad up. To target players at the edge of the box, you'd use directional pad left. To target players in the near post area, you would press directional pad down. The directions change in accordance with the goal you are attacking and the touchline you are crossing from, but it's a simple and intuitive system. When you are set to make a cross, ensure that you are using your player's favoured foot. If a player is facing the goal line, he will make an out-swinging cross, which is ideal for strong headers. You could also turn and face in the other direction to play an in-swinging ball. If you move outside the automatic crossing zone, you'll need to hold the change player button to play the cross. This trajectory is useful if the penalty area is crowded and can be more difficult for defenders to clear. In some situations, automatic crosses are not the best way to pick out a target. There are additional pass types that will help you to supply them with the ball. An expert technique is to use the manual pass function to cross. Look at the radar to find an unmarked player on the far side of the penalty area, or a teammate running into space. These crosses are accurate even if your player uses his weak foot. They also provide you with complete control of the power and direction of the ball. You can also use the lofted through ball to cross. When you are deep inside the penalty area, you can neatly chip the ball towards teammates, over defenders, and even the goalkeeper. When you are close to the goal line, instead of using the automatic low cross, try the special quick low cross move. These passes are really precise and are quicker than a traditional cross. Position your player in front of the opponent's goal line and press the pass button, or the through ball button and the directional pad in the direction of the goal line. Standard automatic low crosses are less accurate but much faster. You can play the most beautiful passing moves imaginable, but it counts for nothing if you can't find the net. Shooting is a difficult skill to master as there are so many variables to consider, including the natural ability of the player, his body position, and of course your input on the controller. Let's examine the influence of body position on shooting. The direction that a player is facing in has a profound effect on the accuracy, power, and execution of a shot. Shots made within a 90-degree cone in front of the player are the strongest and most precise. Shots made at a 45-degree angle with your player facing away from goal can also be powerful and accurate if you are using your player's stronger foot. Shots made as a player moves parallel to your opponent's goal are less precise and can be feeble unless struck cleanly. You also need to perform them from particular angles. Here, the player has passed the point where this type of shot would work, so he needs to create another opportunity. This is the perfect position to make a shot to the far post. Shots facing away from goal are generally a waste of possession. Unless, that is, you're in the penalty area and controlling a world-class striker who has the scoring special ability. Where shooting is concerned, use your knowledge of real-life football for inspiration and guidance. You should also learn how to judge the length of the button press. Ideally, you should fill the gauge to approximately 50%, but be careful not to overcook it and blast the ball over. Low shots with the bar at 20% are the safest, as you can be sure that they won't fly harmlessly over the bar, but are usually easier for goalkeepers to save. Fill the bar too much and the only winner will be the fan on row Z who gets a free souvenir. The controlled shot is very efficient if a player has a high swerve stat and can be used to bend the ball into the corners of the goal. Press the special controls button and the shoot button to instruct your player to use the instep of his boot to strike the ball. This can be used to make superb precision strikes. To perform successful shots from range, you will often need a short run-up before your player hits the ball. The more time you have, the more spectacular the shot could be. Players who specialize in long-distance marksmanship have the middle shooting special ability and can perform shots from range with little or no backlift. These are best performed from between 20 to 35 yards. Most shot types are actually more powerful and accurate if your player has a run-up. By running onto a ball while sprinting, or laying the ball off into a player's path and then priming the shot in advance, you can perform truly outstanding strikes. If the player is stationary and has sufficient space to do so, you can also use the push ball further ahead move. Press the change player button and the sprint button simultaneously to perform this technique, which can increase the precision of shots, long passes and crosses. When your player meets an incoming ball, the type of contact he makes is dictated by his body position and orientation, and the speed and the height of the ball. Let's see some of these moves in action. Firstly, tiny adjustments can be made to your player's position to make better contact, or even change the type of move performed. Beginners can practice this in training sessions. Use the special controls button and the directional pad to move your player as a cross or long pass travels towards him. If the ball is high, you will need to time your movement to attack the ball if you want to perform a strong header. You need to make contact with the forehead, not the top of your head. If the ball is aimed in front of your player as he runs towards it, he will attempt a diving header. Here are some examples of first-time shots. If a player is facing the goal, he will usually perform a volley if the ball is at an appropriate height. With his back to the goal, he may perform scissor kicks or a more acrobatic volley. The closeness of an opponent has a big influence on a player's ability to strike the ball cleanly. The physical presence of a marker has a massive effect on a player's striking skills, unless he has a very high shot technique rating. This player is surrounded by opponents and is almost certain to miss his shot from this angle. In these situations, it's better to pass the ball to a teammate. Shooting ability will only get you so far. You also need composure and common sense if you'd like to improve your strike rate. When you shoot, it pays to know which is your player's favoured foot and what his weak foot accuracy and weak foot frequency stats are. As a general rule, using your player's stronger foot will lead to a better quality of shot. Unless the player is genuinely two-footed, shooting with his weaker foot is often a dubious decision. Here, the player is left-footed. Due to his positioning, he is forced to use his right foot, resulting in a poor shot. If a player strongly favours one foot, they may strike the ball with the outside of that boot instead of using their weaker foot. Players that have the outside special ability can perform amazing shots in this way. In PES 2008, there are 4 types of chip shots. Let's take a look at each type. The medium chip shot is mostly used from outside the penalty area. These are hard to perform, and the keeper must be off his line for them to succeed. Press and hold the change player button and then press the shoot button to make this type of chip shot. The difficult part is judging the length of the button press. The short chip shot is best used when you are close to the goalkeeper to lift the ball over him. Press the shoot button, then press the sprint button before your player kicks the ball. The long chip shot variant should be executed at approximately 25 to 30 meters from your opponent's goal. Position your player's body at a 45-degree angle from your goal, ideally on his stronger foot, then press the change player button and shoot button. This type of chip shot is surprisingly easy to learn. Finally, there is a special curling chip shot. Only a handful of players can perform this move. Move along the border of the penalty area, parallel to the goal, then hold the change player button and shoot. This will result in a stunning curved chip over the goalkeeper if successful, but it's very difficult to perform in a competitive match. Note that you can also perform first-time chip shots. Hold the change player button and tap the shoot button to lift the ball over an approaching goalkeeper. Special shot types aren't the most efficient way to score, but they're extremely enjoyable when they work, and more than a little humiliating for your opponent. The Rabona shot can only be performed by players who have a low weak foot frequency stat and a high technique rating, run parallel to or diagonally past your opponent's goalmouth, and target the opposite side of the goal to perform one. True virtuosos can even perform lobbed Rabona shots or even Rabona feints. The back heel shot is a little more common and can also be performed as a first-time strike. To perform a back heel shot, position your player with his back to goal as we demonstrate here. First-time back heel shots are a little trickier. If your player is right-footed, shooting from left to right, position yourself in the near post area, and then press the shoot button at the very last moment. It may seem of little consequence, but your choice of corner taker really matters. Many matches are won or lost through a team's ability to score from or defend against set pieces, so take the time to pick the player best suited to make a precise delivery. Consider the direction, whether it's in-swinging or out-swinging, and the required power before you kick. Check the radar to look for players in space beforehand. With the power gauge at 30%, the ball will reach the near post area. This is the standard corner type used frequently by PES players and easiest to clear. With the gauge at 50%, the ball will reach the middle of the penalty area. These are much more difficult to deal with if the box is crowded. The tallest players have the best chance of winning the ball in this position. With the gauge at 80%, you can play the ball to the far side of the penalty area, or even reach players just outside the box. This is often used to reach a tall target man or centre forward positioned beyond the far post to head the ball down for a teammate to strike. There are also more specialised forms of corner kicks. To play a short corner and supply the ball to a nearby teammate, simply press the pass button. You can then find a good position to cross from, or attempt to cut inside and run along the goal line, which is hard to defend against. Low corners along the ground can often take human opponents by surprise. Press the long pass button and down on the directional pad to play one, after first ensuring that you have a player in a good position to receive or run onto the ball and make a first-time shot or pass. These are often difficult for defenders to deal with. High arc corners are best suited for reaching players at the back of the penalty area or outside the box. Press the long pass button and push the special controls button before the kick takes place to perform these. You can also press up on the directional pad for an even higher cross. Again, check your radar to look for unmarked players before you make the kick. Players always use their dominant foot for corner kicks. Right-footed players specialise at curving the ball to the left, and left-footed players are better at curving the ball to the right. In-swinging corners are usually the most difficult to defend against and lead to better goal-scoring opportunities. In PES 2008, there's a new feature that will enable you to choose 3 players to go forward during set pieces. When your attack-defense gauge is at higher levels, more players will go forward for corners. The opposite applies for lower settings. At the Formation Settings menu, you can assign the CB overlap tactic to a manual strategy button to encourage a defender to move forward during set pieces. With the new player to go forward option, you can choose 3 players to join the attack during dead ball situations. Naturally, the tallest players are the most appropriate choices. You can send 7 or 8 players for corners if you are desperately seeking a crucial goal, even your keeper. Naturally, This would leave you extremely exposed to counterattacks, so you should only throw everyone forward as a last-ditch attempt to save a match. However, the sheer number of players forward can actually make it rather difficult for your opponent to clear the ball. Defending against corners is always an anxious experience. Who hasn't dominated a match and yet lost to a late and lucky-headed goal from a set play? Study the radar and pick the best player to stand in front of your opponent. Pay special attention to the near post area, which many human opponents will aim for. When the ball's inbound, use the super cancel function to reposition your players to intercept the ball. Throw-ins are seldom as easy as they seem. With players tightly marked, try to think ahead and plan which pass or move you will use to avoid the inevitable challenge. Though common, don't be too casual in your execution of throw-ins. Used correctly, they can lead to valuable opportunities. To mislead a human opponent, you can look into one direction before turning to throw the ball elsewhere. You can also use the manual pass for more precision. As in real life, certain players can propel the ball over long distances. Open the Select Throw menu and look for players who have the long throw special ability. Long throws can be used to send the ball into the box or reach players in the center of the pitch. If you have a player standing in a good position behind the man you throw to, use the leave ball trick to allow the ball to reach him instead. This will often fool human opponents. Free kicks are often the way to break the deadlock in a tight match. There are many parameters that govern the success of free kicks, including several player abilities, which are all discussed in detail in the relevant sections of your guidebook. If these scenes of missed opportunities from set pieces seem hauntingly familiar, don't worry. There are plenty of PES players just as awful as you at taking free kicks. But don't worry. We can show you exactly how to wipe the smug grin off the goalkeeper's face with style and finesse, and make him lament the very day he first set eyes on a pair of gloves. This masterclass takes place at the training ground, the perfect place to hone your ability to find the net, where we will show you many advanced techniques that will improve your dead ball skills. Aiming your kick is the first task. You need to decide if you will be applying curl to the kick. Right-footed players curl to the left, left-footed players to the right. Consider this and then line up your shot. You can use the figure that indicates the distance to goal in order to judge the central point of the screen. When you have chosen the spot you are aiming for, adjust to the left or right to take the curl of the ball into account. With a left-footed player, you would aim just outside the left-hand post. Now you need to decide how powerful the kick will be, based on the distance to goal and the abilities of the player. For a close free kick, you need a kicker with a high swerve rating, as you have to lift the ball over the wall and then have it drop quickly to hit the target. You can also take advantage of the presence of a short player in the defensive wall to sneak a more powerful shot through. Fill the gauge just below 50% and press the directional pad down plus left or right. You can also press the pass button to emphasize the curl. For a shot from medium distance, approximately 25 meters, you can pick a kicker who specializes in power or swerve. Choose whether to aim for the near or far post, then fill the gauge to 50%. Press the pass button or through ball button to increase the curl or power respectively. For kicks from longer ranges, 30 meters and above, it's better to choose powerful kickers. Some players can make long-range run-ups. This type of player can apply curve in either direction, irrespective of the foot used. From awkward angles, curling free kicks are the best choice. To shoot under the wall, aim at the corner of the goal behind the defensive barrier, then make a quick tap of the shoot button or long pass button. If the wall jumps, this can lead to an easy goal. Using a second kicker to nudge the ball ahead is a genuinely effective alternative. This is a good choice when your team lacks a dead ball expert. By pressing the change player button and sprint button, you can instruct a second player to stand beside the primary kicker. If you call a second kicker into play, there's no obligation to use him. Just play the free kick as normal, using the additional man as a decoy of sorts. If you choose to nudge the ball to the weak foot of the free kick taker, the trajectory of his shot will be high and curled. Press and hold the change player button, tap the pass button, then shoot. If you choose to nudge the ball to the stronger foot of the free kick taker, the shot will be strong and straight. Press and hold the change player button, tap the pass button, and then shoot. Your aim is important, but even shots to the center of the goal can work. You can also take your opponent by surprise by performing the kick with the second player. Press and hold the change player button, then press the shoot button. You won't be able to get a lot of curve, but this type of shot can be lethal. You can also use the second player to perform a long pass. Press and hold the change player button, then press the long pass button. If you tap the long pass button lightly and press the special controls button, you can sneakily lift the ball over the wall for a player to collect. If the free kick is in a position that makes it unsuitable for a shot, you should aim for a teammate with a long or short pass. As a rule of thumb, the percentage of the power gauge filled when you make a long pass corresponds to the number of meters it will travel. Therefore, a free kick with the power gauge filled to 50% will travel 50 meters. If the free kick is deep inside your opponent's half, a mere tap of the long pass button is sufficient to cross the ball. If you have a player with good aerial ability, this type of cross can be deadly. As with corners, you can move defenders into the penalty area for free kicks. If you're in a free kick position approximately 30 meters away from goal, particularly on the wings, you can use a high arc free kick over the defensive wall. Press the special controls button and up on the directional pad. Its high trajectory will take it over the heads of nearby defenders. Short pass free kicks were somewhat unreliable in previous PES games. In PES 2008, they're a little more flexible. Your player will pass the ball to the nearest player in the direction he is facing. Better still, You can now use manual passes during free kicks, which enables you to kick the ball anywhere you want. Strong low passes through gaps in a defensive line can be very hard to defend against. You can even pass to players behind the free kick taker. In general, your player takes a free kick by shooting in the direction that he aims at. However, you can use special button commands to actually shoot at the opposite end instead. In this example, we aim to the right. After filling the power bar, we press the change player button to actually kick to the left. The longer you hold the button down, the more the aim will move in the specified direction. You can also press the sprint button to direct this type of surprise free kick to the right. The pass and move command is useful all over the pitch, especially during counterattacks. It enables you to manually dictate how many players will run forward to join an attack. This move can be used to overwhelm opponents, but can leave you defensively weak if overused. To use the pass and move command, quickly press the special controls button after you make a pass. The player will immediately make a forward run. The sooner you press the button, the faster they will sprint forward. Be careful not to use this command with the goalkeeper or central defenders. Super Cancel is an absolutely essential move that all PES players should employ regularly. Not having it in your repertoire puts you at a huge disadvantage. Sometimes, the game engine can be a little intrusive, guiding a player in a direction that doesn't suit you. Super Cancel enables you to regain direct control at any moment. Mastering its use will take many hours of training and match experience. To use Super Cancel, press and hold the sprint and change player buttons. Until you release them, you will be in Super Cancel mode. This makes your player very sensitive to directional changes and feels a little strange at first. You can use it to adjust your player's position to better meet a pass or through ball, especially when an opponent is poised to make an interception. A common application of Super Cancel is to compete aggressively for high balls, especially against opponents who simply stand still and wait. In such situations, it gives more experienced players the upper hand in battles in the air. Another use is to adjust your player's body position to make a first-time shot as he meets a lofted pass or cross. Without Super Cancel, it's much harder to make specific types of first-time shots. We really can't understate the importance of this move. It may initially seem a little daunting, but it adds a great deal to your all-round game. If you are controlling a player who is due to collect a pass, but notice a teammate in a better position along the ball's trajectory, Super Cancel will allow you to move him aside to let it roll by. With a quick cursor change, you can meet the ball with the second player instead. Super Cancel is also of great value in defensive situations. For example, you could use it to adjust your angle of approach to perform a sliding challenge while pursuing an opponent, or move a player aside to prevent him from touching a ball travelling off the pitch. If you and an opposing player are both chasing a loose ball, super cancel is the secret to engineering body checks that could stop your rival in his tracks. This can be handy when you chase through balls in attack and defense, or for maneuvering a slower player into the path of a faster opponent to block his progress. When players compete for a ball in the air, the person that uses super cancel is the odds-on favourite to win the contest. If you want to compete at the highest level, you can't afford to lose all aerial battles, so if you only use super cancel in one area, this should be it. The first trick is to push an opponent from behind, causing him to mistime his attempt to meet the ball, which you can then collect. Another technique is to manually move your player in front of his opponent, and then use super cancel to back into him, gaining a better position to meet the incoming ball in order to head it or control it. La Ginola is the practice of using super cancel to move a player away from an incoming ball. However, note that this is only effective against human opponents. Activate super cancel, then use the directional pad to move him in the required direction. This has a wide variety of applications and can be used in some amazing attacking moves. New to PES 2008 is the leave ball move, the ability to move your player away from the ball while he is in possession. This is an expert level technique and requires a great deal of practice to perform. Let's take a close look at it in action. When you're dribbling, wait until a player is in between ball touches. Press one of the 4 main action buttons, and as your player prepares to kick, immediately activate super cancel to move him away from the ball. Human players have a tendency to focus on the player in possession and not the ball itself. This allows you to take them by surprise. An excellent but challenging use of this trick is when you are sprinting towards goal, but realize that the ball is on your player's weaker side. Knock the ball further ahead, activate the leave ball move, and then adjust his position to perform the shot. You can combine the leave ball technique with tricks and feints to perform memorable dribbling sequences. You might also employ it to leave the ball, then switch it to a nearby team member to collect it, for example, to perform an unexpected first-time shot. In the penalty area, you can even use it to deliberately run over the legs of a player performing a sliding tackle, in an attempt to win a penalty. However, one of the best and most easily practiced uses of this move is to use the turn and run onto incoming pass technique. Then adjust your direction to completely wrong foot a marker. The introduction of the Team Vision AI system makes tactics more important than trickery against top teams, but there are still special techniques that work well in one-on-one situations. The classic kick feint is still an excellent way to fool the AI. There are different animations for this move, depending on the position of your player. Similarly, cancelling a shot by pressing the sprint button and the special controls button can take a defender by surprise. With good timing, you can perform the quick turn move by pressing a diagonal adjacent to your current direction to dodge an attempted tackle. Chip the ball at the right time and your opponent may assume that you are attempting a shot. In multiplayer matches, it pays to know which tricks are the most efficient. As a general rule, rapidly changing the pace and direction of your player can be very difficult for your opponent to defend against. When your player is running along the touchline, a classic PES trick is to release the directional pad and press the special controls button to stop the ball and face your opponent's goal. You can infuriate an opponent by alternating between bursts of pace and sudden stops, as we show in this example. The stop and play technique can be nerve-wracking for opponents, as it makes you extremely unpredictable to play against. When you sprint in your opponent's half, it's important to create space by wrong-footing chasing defenders. As you can see, you can perform large direction changes without slowing down. This is really effective when you're controlling a fast player. When you have a clear run at goal, the natural response is often to try a safe shot along the ground, or a chip shot, but it's much more impressive to beat the goalkeeper by using a trick to get past him. Accelerating in a diagonal direction is the most reliable way to get past a keeper. If you succeed, you can make a simple tap-in. If the goalkeeper makes contact with your player, you may get a penalty. When your player is less than 2 meters from the keeper, try to time a precise kick feint to make him dive prematurely. If you want to beat a keeper with style, you can also attempt to lift the ball over him by using the right analog stick. If it works, don't forget to save the replay. Players with a dribble accuracy rating of 85 or higher can perform the both feet feint move. This can make it difficult for your opponent to time their challenges correctly. In this instance, we see how the move causes a hapless defender to concede a penalty. Players with a dribble accuracy rating of 70 or higher can execute the drop shoulder move. This is a body feint that can be followed by a change in direction to confuse the defender. Back to the both feet feint. Here, you can see that this movement is useful when you combine it with the sprint button to knock the ball forward with the second touch. A new feature in PES 2008 is that players with a dribble accuracy rating of 85 or above and a weak foot accuracy stat of 6 or more can perform the both feet feint in either direction. Very few players fall into this category, but these gifted individuals can wreak havoc while dribbling in the penalty area. Opponents will find it very hard to tackle and may simply stand off in fear of committing a foul. The revised sidestepping system in PES 2008 definitely adds a new dimension to dribbling. You can now combine this move with many other techniques, including new tricks. This is especially effective when you need to create space for a cross on either touchline. First, you have to know how to start the sidestep move. From a stationary position, facing your opponent's goal, just press a 90-degree direction to begin sidestepping. You can also perform these while dribbling. Just press the directional pad at a 90-degree angle to your current direction of movement. While dribbling, you can perform a sidestep in your current direction of movement by pressing the Change Player button and Sprint button simultaneously. This can be done at any time. While sidestepping, you can perform a sudden direction change by pressing an opposite direction and the Sprint button. In PES 2008, there are two new tricks that can be used while sidestepping: the special step over and the roll ball moves. When an opponent approaches your player from the front, you can combine the sidestep with a sudden drag back. Or a V-feint. Or the awesome new nutmeg move. This one goes straight through his legs. This one is played around the defender. You can combine the sidestep with other tricks to make unpredictable direction changes, such as the classic Marseille roulette. A skillful ball chip. Or a flip-flap. The new PES 2008 engine allows a special kind of technique that only expert players will be able to use. We call them fake turns. Basically, you can start a movement from a stationary position and then cancel the animation by performing another movement. This is a concept that fans of old 2D fighting games might be familiar with. The basic premise with fake turns is generally to turn in the opposite diagonal direction that corresponds with your player's stronger foot, then immediately cancel the move with another direction. The higher a player's dribble speed and acceleration stats are, the greater the range of fake turns he can make. You can create new feints by quickly combining directions and string together impressive dribbling moves. Some of these are real crowd pleasers, not to mention unpredictable.